Shalom, shalom. Welcome once again to our midweek midrash, and we're grateful that you're watching with us. And we're a little tardy. We've had some issues going on with our computer situation here. So, for those who have been patient enough to wait, or those who are watching later and wondering what I'm even talking about, shalom once again. We thank you for joining us. Everything okay, Mama? Okay. Is that over the phone? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well. The money went down the well. So here we go. All right. We're grateful once again for you joining us, and that we are in the throes of the first chapter of the book that the Apostle Paul, Rav Shaul, is communicating with the Roman Empire. Try that on for size. And if you look into our archives, you'll see that his letter to the Romans was not a high chatty thing. It was very challenging to that proud Roman mindset. And we have a certain situation that might be very equivalent to that, being of the U.S. We think that we're best in everything, and it ain't necessarily so. Yah is the best at everything, and those who humble themselves before him, he will lift up, and he will give us what we need. And what I needed tonight was to get back onto this restream, and thankfully that Yah is honoring that desire. And I pray that you've been enjoying our teachings, and that they're coming in loud and clear, and that we would continue to express our gratitude in a myriad of different ways. And right now, I'm just grateful that we're here, we're able to communicate, and it's very tough for me to acknowledge that, and to give thanks to Yah, and to give thanks to you, all those who are either watching now live, and because we are a little tardy, I pray for those who might have been on time and have kind of went on to something else, that they come back and check on us, check with us. So again, we are grateful. Am I freezing it all there? Am I freezing? It looks like on my screen it's frozen.
Good.
Okay. It's frozen there too. You're watching, right, Regina?
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to have our brother Gilbert open up in prayer for us. Shalom, Gil.
Shalom, Brother Bob, and shalom, everyone. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you have filled the earth with beauty. Open our eyes to behold thy gracious hand in all thy works, that we may learn to serve thee with gladness, for whom all things were made by Yeshua, our Messiah and Savior.
Amen. Thank you, Father. And to do a quick review, we've been reading these opening verses. I think we read to verse 21. But again, Paul is not writing to people leaving the subway station. We're used to giving out tracts, preaching the word on the street corners and such. We're talking to the world. Paul is talking to a community of faith. He's often expressed the idea, or at least he does one time in the written word, where he says, look, what goes on out there is Yah's business. What goes on within the community, that's where I step in. That's where I have authority. That's where my word, since I follow Yah, this is what he would have you know. Okay. My screen just went blank. Everything okay?
Yeah.
I'm still broadcasting?
Well, I hear you.
Do you see me?
Yeah, I see you. But
What?
Yeah, you're still broadcasting.
But you see me, yes, and you hear me?
I hear you.
But do you see me also and I'm moving?
Yeah, but you're frozen, but...
I know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because this... Okay, so the problems with the computer are not quite finished. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to. If I'm frozen visually, but you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So again, Paul is communicating with the believing community in Rome and talking about them because what may be known of Elohim is manifest in them, for Elohim has shown it to them. I read that last week. I just want to do a quick recount, a quick review. What may be known of Elohim is manifest in them, for Elohim has made it known, has shown it to them visually, that they would understand and comprehend. And again, the idea of knowing Yah. The Hebrew word is yada, which is to know, and it's a word that is. Okay, he left us. Okay. Okay. So you still seeing me and hearing me?
I hear you.
Okay. So I don't know why I'm frozen, but stay with us. To know and to be known is an intimacy. In fact, Adam knew his wife Eve and produced an offspring. So knowledge, that's where we get the term carnal knowledge. Knowledge is very intimate. To know what people are about, to know what people are saying and where they're coming from is an essential part for communication. To speak and to hear. Shema, we listen because Yah is speaking. And then he goes on to say, for since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes can be clearly seen, which is an interesting idea, is it not? It is certainly that. Are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even the eternal power and thesis, which is the divine nature, the divinity, the Godhead, so that they are without excuse. They're without excuse. They agreed to the situation, so now they can't just back out and say, "I don't know what you're talking about." See, so there's a lot of nuance in Romans that Paul is talking to a rebellious people. Am I moving yet? Regina, I need you to keep me play by
you're
play.
moving now.
I'm moving now?
It's on and off, but
Okay. Okay, so they are without excuse. Anapol ontos, okay? In other words, without excuse, without defense, to be inexcusable. There's no way out of the situation here. You know, you say you know, and the reason why you know is because he's shown it to you. He's given you evidence to that fact. In verse 21, because although they know Elohim, and again, that's the idea that Paul talks about, verse 19, verse 21, 28, and at the very end, verse 32. Although they know Elohim, ginosko, they have knowledge of, to know. Because although they know Elohim, they do not glorify him as Elohim. And to glorify and glory is all based on the word called doxa in the Greek. Doxazo, doxadzo is the word here. Although they did not glorify him. To honor, when we think of glory, we usually think of, the splendor of Shemayim, of heaven. We usually think of the quote unquote the supernatural aspect of the illumination of heaven, but it's also the illumination of the mind. To consider is another way of looking at the word doxa. We consider, we magnify him. They did not glorify him as Elohim. They did not recognize him. They did not consider him to be all powerful Elohim. That's what happens with religion. Religion just continues to wear us down and makes the important things seem unimportant, neutralizes any momentum that we might have. So they did not glorify him as Elohim, nor were they thankful, but became futile in their thoughts. Okay? So again, as you consider Elohim, you do not consider him properly, and we don't express our gratitude by acknowledging who he is. And as a result of failing to consider him, our thoughts are futile. If our thoughts guide us away from giving him his props, giving him his propers, we miss sight of the proper relationship that we've been imbued with the ability to do. Okay, my screen just came up again. And again, if you're watching this, I thank you for your patience, because this is a tough one. But we're here, and we need to make this message clear as long as we can. So they did not consider him, glorify him, consider deep consideration. To magnify the thought of him is the glory. Glory is larger than life, illuminated, that he dwells in unapproachable light and fire. We can't go there, but we can think about it. We can have it in our mind, but it's a poor substitute for the reality. But we can still consider it. We can consider it. Okay? We were thankful, and we failed in our thinking to measure up to the expectation that Yah expects of us. Okay? Okay. Matayo. Okay. Matayo O. Okay. Matayo O. Okay. Which futile is the word. Okay. Matayo O. To make empty, to vain, foolish, idolatrous. So it's futile. It makes empty. And in essence, when it's considered Yah, it's also idolatrous, because we're not doing what should be done. Okay. Any motion yet? Regina.
I'm sorry, what?
I need you to hear me. What's
Yeah,
going on?
Keep hearing you. I hear you, but you're not moving, but I hear you.
Okay. And the futility, the emptiness, the idolatrous that became foolish because we don't consider Yah, so it opens up the door to falsehood and any other charlatan who can fill in the gap, so to speak. Okay? So our thoughts, our imagination, it's dialogismos. So that's gives you the idea of a dialogue, of reason capacity, deliberating with self. So it's an inner dialogue, okay? Futility in our inner dialogue as we consider Yah, but are not grateful to him. We don't glorify him. We fail to think of him in the manner that he needs to be thought of. A lot of people think of Yah as being lowercase God, lowercase g, God, not Elohim, who is the power of powers, the significant of all significance. They fail to do that because he's diminished in their eyes. And people, they start off on fire, but just like the parable of the seed as the sower, there are those that get off to a good start, and the world is filled with enough distractions that pretty soon life in the faith becomes a secondary consideration. It's not as important as we once thought, and we've replaced the main focus with something foolish, and so we have a dialogue in our imagination, and our reason capacity is diminished because we fail to recognize the important from that which is not. And it says, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Okay? Skotizo. And to be darkened is to obscure, to be deprived of light, to cover the light. Just like Yah in his mercy covers our sins in the act of atonement, to cover the kippur, the kapara, to cover. Only now we're covering his light in our darkened condition as we slip away from the light. So again, those who believe in unconditional, that's the key word, unconditional eternal security, say there's nothing you can do to cancel out his relationship with you. And the fact is that he doesn't. You do. We have the capability of maintaining the relationship, or we just cancel it out. We tune to another channel. And I pray that you're not doing that to me now, that you would be listening, that you'd be watching. And in spite of the fact that I'm kind of in suspended animation, that that you're hearing and that you're listening. And the early Talmudim had other problems. If this is the most severe of our issues, then that's not so bad, I guess. So our foolish hearts are darkened because we fail to give him the primary position in our thinking, in our consideration, okay, in our doxa. Okay? Their foolish hearts were darkened. And then we see verse 22, Shaul says, professing to be wise, okay, sophos, which is where we get sophistication, sophos, enlightened, we get the idea of light there, because we're darkened. So professing to be wise, so we've been darkened by the decisions that we've made, and we think that we're still in light. Remember what Messiah says? If the light in them is darkness, how dark is the dark? You know what I mean? In other words, if I keep all my lights dim and say, well, that's the best I can do, is this darkened light source. The darkness is just one little click away. To be in the light of Yah, there's a lot of degrees between that light and the darkness. And again, the doxa, the appreciation and consideration of that type of glory is a long way to fall. How the mighty have fallen. And when we walk with Yah in that initial infatuation developing into love and commitment, and we decide to diminish it until it's basically on life support, and we're ready to pull the plug ourselves, but it's a sad condition. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and that the word is morino, right? And that's where we get the word moron from, right? They became morons. Professing to be sophisticated, they become morons. When we look at the two words, the Greek words that are morphed into our language in English, I don't know how it is in other languages, but and to be a moron means we lose the savor. We are insipid. We are flat and tasteless. So to be a fool means you lose all influence, all positive attributes that might have once been appropriate to describe you as. You've become like nothing. You're a shadow person. You're tasteless. You're vapid. You're not interesting. What you've got to say, people are going to start walking out on you before you finish your sentence. And I hope you're not doing that to me right now. Okay? Professing to be wise, they became fools. They've lost their spark. They've lost their flavor. We are to taste and see that Yah is good, and we want to also be flavorful. We want to be people of salt, those who are preserved, those who are of flavor, because without that flavor, that salt is just cast away. So again, they became fools. And what else did they do? Verse 23. And they changed. Okay? Alaso. They changed. They transformed the doxa, the glory of the incorruptible Elohim. And that is Afartos, of the incorruptible Elohim, incorruptible, into an image made by like corruptible man, and birds and four-footed animals and creeping things. Okay, so the reason why Yah is not under our amazed consideration and consider him glorious is because we've lessened him. We've made him part of our creation. We are his creation, and rather than acknowledging our creator, Abba, we've actually dropped him down a level from us to that which we've created. The creature. that we've created. And that becomes our deity. So it's like skipping the line from deity to mortal man to creation of our hands. We are creation of his hands. And we've fashioned something below us. It's like Yah worshiping sinful man. It's not likely to happen, is it? Nor should it. And true logic would say that's not going to happen. But when our hearts, our foolish hearts, are darkened and we no longer consider the proper position where Yah should occupy in our lives, if you all heard about the thing about a vacuum in the heart of man, the space and emptiness, that we try to fill it in with any number of things, drugs, pornography, or anything, even this creation that we've made and bowed down to. In fact, the prophets talk about that. The man cuts down a tree, puts the wood in the fire, gives them some light and warmth, and whatever's residual to that primary function, we fashion into a deity and we bow down to that deity. So it's it's almost like the circumcision, right? You cut away the useless flesh that's cast away. So that's what we're making our deity, that which we cast away. Now, before we totally throw it away, let's make it into something that we can all use here as a deity, okay? Okay, we change the glory, the true consideration of Yah, of the perfect, incorruptible Yah. Again, showing the distinction between incorruptible and corruptible. Yah is the creator, man is the corrupter. Okay? Potentially. He's also potentially the one who follows in his father's footsteps and honors his father as his faithful son. Okay? And made into an image made like a corruptible man. And the image is where we get icon from, which is a likeness or an idol. Okay? So we the glory of Yah, who is not made by human hands, into an icon made to look like us or birds or other creatures. Okay? And then it says creeping things. And creeping things is interesting because that is the word for creeping thing is herpeton. And when we think about it, that's a reptilian representation. Herpetology, or something like that, is the study of snakes. So the creeping things are those that crawl on their bellies and eat the dust. That's what was cursed. So the irony is that we've made Yah, dropped him from the position that he occupies as all over perfect and creator of all things, where Solomon, the Melech Israel at the time, says that the heavens cannot contain him. Yet how can I build a house for him? In other words, my house, the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, was meant more symbolic than obviously even the Shemayim, the heavens cannot fully clothe him with a house, with walls, a ceiling, and a floor. He's beyond all of that. Okay? So he made him corruptible man, okay, who was walked away from the incorruptible potential to walk as he walked, to enter into fellowship with him in the Ruach of the day, as Adam was given that opportunity and failed. So we think it's okay. As Adam failed, we all fail. Shrug our shoulders and say, big deal. But Yah has given us a new birth. He's given us the status of being begotten, because we will not be fully born from above, which is the phrase. It's not really born again so much as born from above, from a higher position. But it's ultimately the resurrection. We have been lifted up humble ourselves before him, he will eventually exalt us. And to be exalted means to be lifted up and to be risen. Just like in the promise in Isaiah with regards to keeping of the Sabbath, the covenant sign, it says that you will be in the high hills. We'll place you in the high hills of the beloved, blessed country. So, then we go to the corruptible man who says in his heart, there is no Elohim anymore, except for that which I can create myself. And that's what religion has done. They've recreated Elohim in the image of man. And that image that is the resultant image is of a fallen creature, a nachash, a serpent, whose advice we took over the advice of Yah. And not just Chava, because she took of the fruit and gave it to her husband, who was with her. He was there with her. He basically used her as a guinea pig. She took the fruit that he wanted to take, let her get tempted, let her be the one to taste it. Like kings, and Adam was a king. He was the ruler of the earth, right? He lets the food tester make sure she didn't drop dead. Yah says, as soon as you eat of that fruit, you will die. No, and that day, your life sentence is going to be altered significantly. So there you have it. I just thought that was interesting, that birds and four-legged creatures and creeping things. And in the book of Yehuda, the book of Jude, there's a reference to those who creep into communities of faith, okay? And essentially calling them creeps that creep. They're creeping things, and they are the creeping thing, which is pretty frightening, that man could stoop so low as to become a creeping thing. Any improvement, Mama?
No.
Okay. Again, I thank you if you're still watching, that you're hearing. I pray that that's the case. Verse 24. Therefore Elohim also gave them up, gave them over. He relinquished to uncleanness a catharsis, which is impure, that which is non-kosher. And to be non-kosher means you're improper. Doesn't mean poison, it means it's improper. So if you're doing something that's not kosher, it's literally saying, no, what are you doing that for? That's stupid. You're too good for that. You're mature enough where you shouldn't even bother with such things. So non-kosher is stuff that we should know better. And again, he keeps telling them. Verse 24, 26, and 28 also says you should know better. And as a result, because you know better, he gives them over. He gives them up. He surrenders them. That's what you want to do? You want a king like the nations? Okay, I'll give you a king like the nations. You want to behave like the nations? Okay, I'll have you sift through the nations and you will lose your identity as the 10 tribes of the north did. I gave you what you wanted. Don't cry now. In the Pharisee who prays and davens and does all of his religious shtiklach to get the approval of men, that they got it. Okay, you want people to say, "Hey, there goes a real tzaddik." There you go. You wanted the approval of men, and you got it. Yah is nothing if generous to the whims of man. Not always to our betterment, as you can see in that case. So Yah will give them over because they've reached such a deplorable condition that he's saying, if that's what you want to do, have fun. I'm going to give you over to that. I'm relinquishing my responsibility to you. Because you're now currently serving another deity. So Mazel Tov, have fun. Okay? Elohim also gave them over, relinquished to uncleanness in the lusts of their hearts, to dishonor their bodies among themselves. Okay? To dishonor. Okay? Atimazo. Okay? Which is to entreat shamefully, to treat with contempt, to render infamous, to despise. in the lusts of their hearts to dishonor their bodies among themselves. So to dishonor. And remember, Paul also talks about the sins of the flesh are especially grievous because you're in control of this. You're doing it to yourself. Oh, well, Larry got me really angry. And I was no. You dishonored your body. And that's something that you're imposing on yourself. It's not something that any external power or strength has forced upon you. You've decided to do this on your own. To dishonor their bodies among themselves. Okay, and that's why this chapter is so revealing. And he eventually goes on to describe certain sins, certain conditions, and then in the end it says not only those who do these things are deserving of death, but those who give their approval of these situations also. So, what we're reading here are people engaging in things that are cutting themselves off from Yah, who is light, who is life, who is laughter and joy, and you just turn the coin over. Opposite of life is death. The opposite of laughter is tears, anguish. Instead of joy is sorrow. So we're falling for this Nachash, this false deity who gained the authority in the garden and convinced us that Yah doesn't know best. He doesn't always know best. In fact, there are those who still to this day, within the certain occult practices that seek for the hidden knowledge to this day, the same thing in the garden. We want this hidden knowledge. And they say an Adonai is the wicked deity because he's withholding things from us. He's selfish. He doesn't want to share these things. He's holding out on us. But the Lucifer, the light bearer, he's the one who reveals. He's the one who guides us in the ways that we can achieve this without bowing down to all this other stuff that Elohim, that Adonai is demanding. And these are written in their secret documents that Adonai, as they call him, is a wicked, petty, selfish deity who's deliberately holding things away from us. But it took somebody with balls, so to speak, a serpent, to teach us the right way. And that's what we are in today. We want somebody to break things down. Well, nobody else is talking about the two houses of the north and the south. And then these end times where Israel is returning. They've regained their memory in part, and they're coming back, and they're a rainbow. We're going to get the beauty of the rainbow again without any cultural connections to anything that's profane. And we're all coming back to truth. Okay? Let's see. Dishonor their bodies among themselves, okay, who exchanged one thing for another, okay, who exchanged the truth of Elohim for a lie, for the lie, okay. They exchanged metalasso. Let me see the meta. There's a change take place. A metamorphosis is the 4 stages of the butterfly, right? The egg to the to the caterpillar, to the pupal state, the incubation state, and then the final state of the butterfly, the beauty of the butterfly. And Yah has given us this beautiful insect to show us what's possible in this metamorphic state. But in this case, we're exchanging, we're going downwards. We're exchanging good things for bad. And that's the sign of the times also. Good is considered evil, evil is considered good. The things we should be ashamed of are the things that we are broadcasting, and we are continuing to shine these wicked things as the best that we can do. It's foolishness, okay? Who exchanged the truth of Elohim for the lie. Okay? Pseudos, which is conscious and intentional falsehood. So the lie is something that's not just, oh, I thought this, but it was this. No, it's an intentional thing. It's part of the rebellion. It's part of the rebellion. And we'll find as we get more wiser in this world and the situations going on in this world that that rebellion is part of what's going on, where we are deliberately making decisions that are undercutting truth, that are undercutting that which is kadosh, set apart and holy. We're making a conscious decision. Yeah, the adversary has blinded us to truth, but the blind leads the blind. We will fall. We will definitely fall because we've sacrificed that which is stable, the Ma'utzor, the eternal rock, the rock of our salvation, the rock of our Yeshua. We're forsaking truth in order that we may have that. You know, it's like the food. Esau gave his birthright for a bowl of soup. Adam gave up his birthright with Chava for a fruit. You know, we do things without thinking long term. Something that will placate us now is what we want, you know? Not only will we eat fast food, but we'll drive by a window so we can't even, we're still on the go. We can eat fast food while we drive, while we continue to move in the wrong direction, farther from the truth of Yah. Okay? We've exchanged the truth for the lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Okay? We worshipped and we served. To worship and to serve. And again, I've talked about this before, that the idea of worshiping is just not singing songs, nice songs, beautiful songs. It is part of the service. It's part of focusing on our relationship with the Creator. We worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator. And who's the creature? The Nachash. And we who serve the Nachash, who are Nachash in training, we are becoming creeping things, just like Jude suggested, those who slip in unknowingly within the communities of faith. And we have to be careful with the assemblies that we assemble, that there's always a potential for someone who's not 100% with us. And I'm not saying this to be paranoid, but even Paul says this in Corinthians, where he says that essentially that those who are faithful will be put in more favorable positions than those who are not being faithful within the community. And again, that's who Paul was talking about in this book, this letter, in this chapter. Okay. Worship and serve the creature rather than the creator. And we've all said that one time or another, I think. You know, we don't bow down to idols, but do we? Is that true? You know, there was a time, like I said, when you would cut down a tree, you know, cut some firewood, and whatever's left, we make it a deity, we bow down and serve it. And then we're told that those who worship such things are just like them. We are stupid. We are deaf, dumb, and blind. We just keep pretending that everyone's expendable and no one has a real friend. And it seems to you the thing to do would be to isolate the winner and to declare everything's done under the sun. And yes, I am quoting from Dogs, because there are some times when Mr. Waters was able to complete a cohesive thought. And that's what we're doing. We're living in this false phase of existence, which has an expiration date. When done, it's done. Okay? Who is the creator? Okay? To worship and to serve. Okay? Sabazomai. Sabazomai is to venerate, to fear, to honor in a religious context. Okay? And to serve. Lat Reo. Lat Reo is to minister to render, to homage. I mean, to render homage. Ktisos is the thing that is created. Ktizo, to make, form, or shape. So they want to worship and serve the creature, that which has form and shape. Remember, Yah tells the children of Israel, going back to the Torah, that you didn't see, I've done all these things before. I didn't enter the stage and you could see me. You saw likeness of things I chose to represent. Just like you can't see my face, but you can see my back, which literally means the afterglow. You can see the effect of the wind without seeing the wind. And that's what Yah told Moshe. And when the time came to give the commandments, it says that they saw Yah and they ate. They had a covenant meal with Yah, which is the Logos, which is not the Father, but the Logos, the Son. They saw the Malach Yahuwah, the angel of the Lord, the presentation of Yah in a visibly discernible form. But the fullness of Yah, the Father, no one can see. No one can see. Okay? And again, verse 26 says, for this reason, Elohim gave them up to vile passions. Okay? This is why. Again, this is what you want. This is what I'll give you. No skin off my nose. If this is what you really want, I won't deprive that from you. If that's the direction you want to go, I'm not going to force you. Nobody who makes it to the Malchut Elohim, the kingdom of Yah, is going to be forced into it or coerced into it or have their arm twisted behind their back. Oh, okay, I'll enter. Oh, okay, I'll enter. Because those who do enter are promised you will enter the joy of Yah, enter into eternity, enter into the joy of Yahuwah, the eternal one, who was, is, and shall always be. But for this reason, Elohim gave them up. Again, the same idea as we saw in verse 24. And we'll see again in verse 28. He gave them up to vile passions. Okay? Pathos, affections. And pathos is a word that generally is regarding pathos, is something regarding emotions. Okay? But it's used here, vile passions, vile pathos, affections, lusts, atimia, which is disgrace and dishonor. Okay? Gave them up to vile passions. Things, again, that are not kosher, things that are not appropriate, things that should not be done. Okay. He gave them up to their vile passions. Even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Okay, notice it's their women. Their women look at them and they're saying, what a jerk. What a jerk. What a moron. They exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. The natural use was to be respectful of her husband, and there's nothing there to respect because they worship and serve. In 1 minute they're high and mighty, they're serving Yah. The next minute they're bowing down before an idol. What my natural instinct to love my husband has been diminished by his behavior, by his actions, because what does it say in Paul's writings, saying, husbands, love your wives, women, respect your husbands. And as a woman respects her husband, her love for him is shown, because he is, in essence, the priest of the home. He is the head of the house. So to respect him, it's one thing to say, oh, honey, I love you. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you love me. You know, and every other thing that she could do to show him that she loves him, and this might sound, less than contemporary with regards to the role of men and women in society and in the household. But you're saying you love me, but the house is in disorder. The kids are smoking crack. It's roach and rat infested. How are you showing your love for me by allowing these things to spin out of control? And you're keeping things from me. I never knew that my kids were doing this, and you didn't want to hurt my feelings or whatever. So the women exchanged again. Meta. They exchanged the truth of Yah for the lie. And their women, and don't forget, in the scriptures, Ish is man, Isha is woman, but that's also husband and wife. When it talks about the women, it's talking about the Isha. So even their wives exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Okay? Physicos. We get the word physical from that. Let's see, physical. Produced, agreeable to, governed by the instinct of nature. Para, against is physis. Again, nature, that which is unnatural. They exchanged the natural for what is against nature. Because nature, in this situation, is for the wife to love and to honor her husband. Okay? The women have exchanged the natural condition, which is also spiritual, but that which is expected, they rebel against. And in this case, they're not wrong. How can you respect that which is not worthy of respect? How can you honor that which does not honor? Cannot even keep his promises, as he exchanges the truth of Yah for the lie. She exchanges the natural use for what is against nature. That was against nature. Okay. Verse 27. Likewise, or homoios, equally, or in the same way, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn their lust for one another. Men with men committing what is shameful and receiving in themselves the penalty for their error which was due. So again, women abandon their husbands because they're not honorable, and so they place the blame on the wife. And so likewise, just as he continues to go against the grain in his exchanges, when you go to another country, you do a monetary exchange of currency, right? So here they've exchanged the heavenly currency for the currency of a country who have basically been bankrupt. So instead of buying bread for like $4, you're buying bread. We were talking about this the other day, buying bread for like $500. It's like, well, I got to go to the bank and see if I can afford to take out money for the bread. So that's why, in the same way as the women having no interest in the man leaves the natural use of the woman. Okay? The natural use of the woman is to go to the man because he is her covering. He is the respectable one. He's the head of the house. They're saying this house is not being maintained with a compassionate leader, a Kohen, who serves Yah, in that service of Yah, honoring his wife. Honor his wife. Love his wife as Messiah loved the Kahal, the community of faith. In the same way, likewise, the man leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another, men committing what is shameful. And see, now I'm going to get into controversial territory here. I don't think that 27 is talking about lesbianism, because it would have said women with women. Women are disgusted that their men are failing to abide by the rules of marriage. Okay? Because the man has been derelict in his duty to his woman. And so what are they doing? Well, they're going to go and hang out with the boys. Okay? For this reason, Elohim gave them over to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural for the... I'm not saying that as a pro-gay thing or pro-anything thing. I'm saying with regards to our responsibility. The woman's responsibility is to honor her husband. And as we see, how can you respect somebody who has forsaken Yah? Is that a respectable position? So the man leaves the natural use of the woman against nature. Again, against nature, but a different category. Burned in their lust for another man, men with men committing what is shameful and receiving in themselves the penalty for their error which was due. The wages of sin is death. The soul that sins will die. When you engage in this from Leviticus 18:22, it is, this is the second time I'm going to say that this week. It is what it is. I hate that phrase, but you can't dress it up. You can, like was said in the political forum years ago, you can't put lipstick on a pig. You can't dress up a pig. It's still a pig. It's obvious that committing what is shameful in their actions and receiving for their actions the error penalty that is due them. Okay? And dai, which necessity brought on by the circumstances or by their conduct. So that is what is their due. And it's interesting that it's basically spelled like dai. Necessity brought on by circumstances or by their conduct. Ish plus Isha result in life and advance. Ish and Isha cannot advance life. Incompatible parts create a biological end. I mean, and we're living in the days now where I'm going to get controversy here, and I don't want to sacrifice my YouTube here, but there's a contestant on Jeopardy who was a man, who was a transgender woman, who was married to a woman. Okay? So on the outside, okay, that's a lesbian couple. But on the other hand, he's got the plumbing of a man, and she's got the plumbing of a woman. So on one hand, they're heterosexual. We're entering into the loony bin. It really is. It really is going beyond what we can expect. So incompatible parts do not enhance, create, or reinforce life. It comes to an end. Okay, it ends. But now, with this, one partner can get impregnated by this or by this, or this couple can have kids because the plumbing is compatible. But through the lunacy of the situation, it's just more crazy, more crazy. And what we want to do is to do what's right, to be faithful. We don't want to do that which does not enhance life. We don't want to do that which does not instill values that are consistent with Yah, that emanate from Yah. Today, we don't want to commit to absolutes. We don't want to. But the absolutes that we commit to are absolute lunacy, absolute things that don't make sense. Like it says here, receiving in themselves the penalty for the error which was due. It doesn't sound like a whimsical, cruel deity who's saying, look, you're gonna receive the penalty for the error that you've made. And it's not to say that they can't be corrected. It doesn't say that they can't be changed. But in the current direction, you're heading towards a very deep precipice, a very deep hill, a very deep cliff. And again, this is within the community. This is not, pagans marching in the parades that everyone celebrates, right? This is talking about within the body of believers. There are those who are married, and the husband really has no use for the wife. He's a holy person. He's set apart. He's going to study, and not be a husband for his wife. So again, how is she to respect him if she has no part in his life? In his attempts to be pious and holy, if you will, he's ruined the life of his wife. And they had promised to work together and to balance out their lives together. And he has lied to her because he fails to commit. But he expects her to commit to him. So when she has an affair with someone, saying, hey, and that's why in certain countries, women's genitalia are, they call it female circumcision. But this way, my woman is not going to be tempted to go off looking for another guy. And the fact that she'll never enjoy our relationship, that's too bad. I will. She'll feel nothing for me in a sexual way. So we're just dealing with so much lunacy. So by doing this study in Romans 1, I just want us, and if I could for 1 second cause you to say, yeah, that's kind of how it is. So you got to take that on your own. You got to take that and deal with it as you need to deal with it. I'm not here to necessarily change anyone's mind on anything, but to consider. Again, doxa. We are to doxa. We are to consider. We are to take deep consideration. Think about it. Think about it. No, really, think about it. We like to say that. We like to say, yeah, I got to think about it. No, you're not thinking about it. You're doing what you want to do. And that does not honor Yah. It does not. So let us be faithful to Yah. And again, for those who have been able to stick with us through this and not to turn us off, look at me frozen and become a bobsicle in the freezer. I'm not frozen in real life, even though I certainly look it. I don't look especially happy either. But we're here. We had troubles with this computer this evening, and ironically, the midweek MIDrash, I think this is like the third or the fourth time we've had some issue with the computer, with whatever. So again, I thank you for tuning in. I'm going to stop here. I don't want to rush this because there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to doxa. Because the illumination, the light of reason, we need to really see the things that, if something worth thinking about and considering, there's light to it. There's light to it, not darkness. There's got to be light to it. The things for us to consider, not like insects chasing a light bulb, which eventually will kill them. The light that Yah provides, we will have life. The light bulb that kills those drawn to it is the adversary, is Luciferian presence of the adversary, of the nachash, of the serpent, of the snake, of the creeping thing. The creeping thing. So be strong, be encouraged. Love Yah, love Yah. And we love Yah by, that means that something else on the other side of the scale has got to be fade into insignificance. So let's put our chips with Yah. And if we truly love Yah, we will be loving and respectful to our family members, our wives, our husbands, our children, even the dog and the cat and the hamsters and the turtles and the tropical fish will all benefit from this. And it's true. To be in touch with the source of light and life and laughter and joy is essential in these darkening days. And there's a famine in the speaking of the word, a famine in the hearing of the word. There's not a famine of the word. The word is out there. There's a famine. There's a biblical illiteracy where people don't even know who Abraham is. People don't even know. They can't name 2 or 3 prophets. They can't. We don't know. And yet they go to church, or yet they consider themselves Christianos, or they consider themselves Yehudim. But we got to put our money where our mouths are, and to be grateful to Yah, and to serve Him, and to worship Him, not the false, but the true. Thank you, Father. Abba, I just pray right now that I don't fail in my efforts to illuminate your truth, Father, to visit these important issues. And again, I'll touch base on some of these things next week also. Hopefully we'll be animated and alive and so on. Don't know why today was so difficult, but we thank you, Father, for being with us, Abba. And again, that your people, your unique people who are called by your name, would come to know you in a better, more deep, full understanding, Abba. We will one day know as we are known. We will one day, but that's not, we can't run ahead of ourselves. We have to take it one step at a time. We have to pass from infancy to toddler, to immature, to teenager, to maturity, and to experienced maturity. We can only do that through time. So I thank you, Father, for giving us this opportunity. And I thank you all who are watching, who are listening. And obviously it's not a whole lot to watch, although you get a good picture of the menorah and the shofar. And I say shofar so good. And I say that I hope that you're enjoying what we're doing here. And if this has been beneficial, please tell others about it. We need the numbers. We don't look at the numbers, but we look at them as it affects the algorithm of our community. So if you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and even if you had, if you can check, make sure that you are still subscribed. We lost a couple of numbers that were in our viewership, and there are some people who, upon evaluating, say, "Yeah, I thought I was signed on." There's something to do with the algorithm. Some people are bumped. I know this one channel on the YouTube who has people constantly saying, "Hey, I've been a member here long," and yet I look and I'm on the outside looking in. And so, do that from time to time. Check to see if your subscription is still active. It doesn't require any money, obviously. I'm not shaking anybody down, but please check on that. And if it's been beneficial to you, please let someone else know about it. Share the light, spread the truth with us all. And we thank you. And I regret that we didn't have much of the chats going on tonight. Whatever happened with this computer, I just pray that this can be resolved. And again, we thank you. And again, Abba, I just pray that you dismiss us, the speaker and hearers of your word, Abba, that we grow, that we mature, that we are respectful, that we are loving, that we don't, trade and change the truth of Yah for a lie. So I just pray. And we'll revisit that again next week as well. So again, we give you thanks and praise and all things in Yeshua's name. Amen. And again, I say, Laila Tovu Lihitraot. I say good night and be well, be strong, be encouraged, and we will see you down the road just a little bit further. So, Laila Tov, be well.